Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the launch of the Migravoice Superpower Community. My name's Luke. I'm the head of Media Diversity Institute Global Office in Brussels, in Belgium. Um, we're really excited to be part of the Migravoice project, which is led by Maldita in Spain, a journalistic platform based on focused on combating disinformation through fact-checking and data journalism. The project is funded by the European Union and it's a consortium of six organizations. So as well as Maldita and MDI, we have Racif 22, which is based in Germany. They're an Arabic language media platform which aims to amplify the voices of marginalized groups and promote human rights, diversity, and freedom of expression. London Story, based in the Netherlands, they're a civil society organisation that advocates for justice, peace, and collective action against human rights violations, including investigating disinformation and hate speech. Are We Europe, which is a non-profit based in Amsterdam, or based in Berlin now, but I think founded in Amsterdam. They focus on multimedia journalism, giving fresh perspectives on European issues and focusing on stories that transcend national boundaries. We also have OBC Transeuropa, which is based in Italy. They're a multimedia, multilingual transnational news hub, and they focus on social and political changes in Southeast Europe, the Balkans, Turkey, and the Caucasus. Also us, so Media Diversity Institute Global, we've worked internationally for 25 years to promote accurate, nuanced and nuanced reporting on issues of race, religion, ethnicity, class, disability, gender, and sexual identity. So as some of you already know, Migravoice aims to amplify the voices and perspective of migrants and refugees in European media. Our hope is that by promoting active participation of individuals with a migration background in the creation of quality content for European audiences, that we will start to see a positive shift in the ways that migrants and refugees are framed in news and journalistic content. So this is what we see as a necessary way for giving migrant communities a voice, for challenging dehumanizing narratives and agendas, and for fostering social cohesion in uncertain times. So recently, we've seen a huge rise in anti-immigration political parties across Europe. These tensions are exacerbated, such as in recent weeks, we've had the riots in the UK in July and August, which were spurred on by a lot of unchecked hate speech and incendiary rhetoric on platforms like Twitter. There's also been increasing violence and excessive force used by security forces towards migrants on the borders of EU countries. The EU Agency for Fundamental Rights highlighted increasing attacks by state authorities, individual and vigilante groups against migrant communities. And there's also a lot of evidence to suggest that anti-immigration rhetoric and hate speech has a real-world effect on increasing actual hate crimes. So there's over 27 million non-EU citizens living in the EU, which is around about 6% of the total population. A study by the European Journalism Observatory in 2020 estimated that around only 10% of media coverage in about 16 EU countries actually gave a voice to migrants and refugees. So that's only 10% of articles that actually quote from sources from migrants and refugees. In another study by London College of Communication, they surveyed a lot of migrants and refugees who had spoken to the media, and they felt that they had their own stories were either misrepresented or they were not given an appropriate amount of time to be properly understood. So that's what the Migravoice project hopes to remedy by mobilizing a cross-border community of experts with migration backgrounds and forming the Migravoice Superpower Community, who make themselves available to journalists and researchers in order to foster greater diversity, inclusivity, and authenticity in European media space. We've already begun on the project. We already had the boot camp in Berlin, which 15 migrant journalists joined. I was lucky enough to be there. It was hosted by Are We Europe, their office in Publix, and it was a great start to the project. And I think some of the journalists have joined us today. Now we have the Migravoice Superpower Community, a digital platform launch, which we will tell you about today, and it's been built. I can't take any credit for it. It's been built by the Superpower developers at Maldita in Spain. So now you'll hear from my colleague Sam, who's head of projects at Maldita, and he'll tell you more about the platform. Sam, the floor is yours.
Cool. Thank you very much, Luke, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's so lovely to see so many people here with us and engaged and excited as we are about the Migravoice community launch. And yes, as Luke said, I'm from Maldita, which is an organization based in Spain that fights disinformation and promotes transparency as well as representation in the media. And we are coordinating the Migravoice project with a number of fellow consortium partners. The purpose of this webinar today is to present to you and basically kick off the Migravoice community, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a moment. And most importantly, to hopefully convince you and encourage you to sign up and join the community, whether you be an expert with migration experience or a European journalist looking for verified expert sources. The purpose of today is to show you a little bit more, and hopefully by the end of the session, you will be ready to sign up to the community and join us in improving the representation of migrants in the European media. So Luke's already given you a comprehensive overview of the Migravoice project as a whole, so I won't go into too much detail here, and I will turn straight to the Migravoice community. So first question is, what exactly is the Migravoice community? And it can really boil down to three central elements, okay? The core of the Migravoice community is what we are calling the superpowered migrant community, okay? Now, this is a community of verified experts who also happen to have migration experience. They might be refugees, migrants, stateless, whatever kind of migration background, but they are experts and have a comprehensive understanding of a particular issue, topic, or discipline, okay? So we're not looking for migrant voices as experts in migration, which of course could be included here, but we believe that people living in Europe who are not originally from Europe bring and come with knowledge and expertise across a wide range of different disciplines, okay? And so what we want to do is build and create a community, a database of these experts, and then basically provide it in the second step as a database of verified multilingual sources for journalists to consult and cite in their journalistic publications. At the moment, we'll be operating in more than 7 different languages, possibly more, depending on who signs up to the community. And basically, the ultimate aim of this community is to build a more inclusive media landscape, okay? Both in terms of migrant experts who will have a platform to contribute their diverse knowledge and expertise to European media outlets, journalists, and publications. And then to journalists as well. I mean, this is a hugely valuable resource in providing you with easy and rapid access to verified sources on a diversity of content and languages. So who can be part of the Migravoice community? Well, you've probably got an initial idea already. There are 3 main kind of groups that we are looking to engage. So firstly, and most importantly, we want all you experts out there who have a migration background to sign up and be ready to provide your knowledge and expertise as expert sources to the European media community. You could consider yourself a migrant, a refugee, stateless, or even second generation. And all you need to do is be willing to assert and share your knowledge on a topic you feel like you know a lot about. Secondly, we're looking to engage, of course, European media practitioners, be them journalists, media outlets, bloggers, or any kind of content creator operating in Europe. This could be at the local, national, or even regional level, and covering any kind of special field or discipline, whether you focus on scientific journalism or political journalism, any field. The idea is that we will have someone in our database who can provide you with the expert knowledge that you need, and you will be able to quote them in your sources. And this will not only improve the validity of your content and making sure that you provide sources, but also improve the diversity of the content and the representation of the perspective and voices within the stories that you publish. And then finally, we're looking for organizations who work with migrants or fight for migrants' rights and representation. You, of course, have access, I imagine, to a large community of beneficiaries, migrants, and journalists who hopefully would be very interested in joining us in the Migravoice community. And so there's an opportunity for you guys to become a partner of the project, gain some visibility, and support us in growing the Migravoice community as far as we can. So diving into it a little bit more to try and convince the different target groups, because I know we have different people from different backgrounds here on the call today. So I just want to cover the main target groups and tell you a little bit more about how you can get involved and what you can gain from the experience. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're keen to at the core of our community will be this group pool of experts who have a migration background and are wanting to share their knowledge with society and particularly with journalists. Okay, what do I mean by a migration background? For us, that is simply an individual who resides, or your parents, if you're second generation, in a country other than the country of your birth. Okay, we are particularly interested prioritizing individuals who are from countries outside of Europe, and particularly outside of the top 30 countries in the UNDP's Human Development Index, because we want to prioritize those who come from countries that are that have less advantages within their local context. What fields are we looking for? Well, as I said, we're not just interested in migration issues, okay? One of the key aims of this project is to diversify the perspectives that people with a migration background have in the media. I mean, as Luke mentioned, generally speaking, migrant voices will appear in the media to talk on their identity as migrants. And we believe that there is a lot more to these individuals than their identity as a migrant. And so therefore, we are looking for anyone with expertise in any kind of field of knowledge, whether that be science, politics, law, sports, any kind of field that you have a competent and comprehensive understanding of is welcome to participate in this community. And what exactly do I mean by an expert? Well, a Migravoice, we believe that everyone is an expert in something. So you don't need to have a PhD or extensive academic or professional qualifications. All that we want is for you to be able to have and to demonstrate that you have a clear and deep knowledge of a particular issue. How you can demonstrate that could be a wide variety of things. You could provide us with your CV. Maybe you've published some articles or you've appeared in some research papers. Or been quoted in other journalistic or media publications. Any of these could serve as evidence, okay? We just need to demonstrate that you do have an understanding of the field. But beyond that, not much more is required. And so why join? Well, hopefully it's relatively obvious, but through Migravoice, you'll basically be provided with a huge platform to collaborate with European journalists and media outlets who will come to you and ask you for information that they can quote in their content. And therefore, you will be able to contribute to a European media ecosystem that is more factual, and it will be more factual because of your knowledge. And finally, you'll get the chance to raise your voice in European media spaces in ways that often people with a migration background do not get the chance to do. And so, if you're a journalist, what do you and why should you sign up to the Migravoice community? Well, basically, we're going to be providing you with an hugely valuable resource, an extensive database, multilingual, multidisciplinary pool of expert sources that can basically provide you with accurate and rigorous information to quote in your publications, underscoring the validity of your content and improving the diversity of the perspectives that you include. Through the online database system, you'll be able to contact participants in the community and ask them for their knowledge across more than 7 different languages. And within that online system, you'll be able to, you'll have your own personal account to manage your collaborations and provide evaluations of contributions to keep the community growing and better sort of cultivate the contributions that you get from and other journalists get from the community as well. So ultimately, we will make your job easier because you won't have to go around trying to call up and find sources on that weird climate science issue that you need to verify. You'll be able to search it within our database and directly contact the members of the community. You'll be able to diversify the perspectives in your coverage. It's very common in European media that we always turn to that same one researcher. Now is an opportunity for you to widen that pool and maybe get a different take on a certain issue. And ultimately, as we should all want to, you'll be able to contribute to improving the representation of marginalized voices in the European media, and particularly in your publications, adding to the credibility of your work as well. And finally, organizations for migrants. We're calling on you guys because we need you to help us build this Migravoice community. And there are various ways that you can do that. You can share information, the website, resources that we'll provide within your community so that they sign up and join the platform. If you're organizing events that you think are relevant and align with the values and principles of Migravoice, then invite us along and we can share a little bit about the community and the project. And then finally, you can also become a partner of the Migravoice project. And by becoming a partner, we will include you and acknowledge your support on our website, providing you with visibility, while at the same time, you're able to give a little bit more to your beneficiaries and your community members by giving voice to their knowledge and perspectives, and as they will be able to appear in European media publications as well. And how will this all work? I mean, where do you find all this? Well, we have developed a Migravoice platform, which is an online digital platform where whether you're an expert or a journalist, you can access and sign up, and within a few clicks and a few types of the keyboard, you will be a registered member of the community, actively participating in promoting diverse voices in the media. You've got the link there. I'll also share the slides after the session, but we're going to provide you with a little demo, a little walk around of the platform now. So I'm going to hand over to my colleagues Bea and Carlos to give you a little overview of the platform and some more practical insights into how you can get involved.
Perfect. Hey guys, just let me share my screen for a second. Here it is. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so, well, hello from Madrid. My name is Carlos Ponce, and alongside Ana Hussain and Bea Lara, I am the developer for the Migravoice website and platform. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick overview of the website, and later Bea has recorded a very useful video about the backend or the platform. It will showcase some of the platform's tools and utilities. So, well, this colorful display is our landing page. Here you will find some general information about the project and also some articles from our consortium partners related to the Migravoice project, and also articles and news pieces in which our experts will have collaborated. All the website is translated. Let me hide this. Yeah, all the website is translated to the languages decided by the consortium members. So you can take a look at all the languages, and if you find any inconsistencies on the translation, please make sure to contact us. You can do so by using the contact page here, or directly emailing us to contact migravoice.eu. Bea will later give you the full email. So for experts with migratory background, we have a set of simple instructions here, followed by a two-step form, okay? We will ask for some context on your migratory background, some general information, also your email and all that stuff. But mainly on the second part of the form, you will tell us about your areas of expertise, your work experience, and skill set, as much information as you can give, actually, because then it will be easier to find you. You will then have to confirm your email, and then you will have access to the platform to change any personal data you want, if your status changes, if you move countries, or whatever, okay? For journalists, academics, and other users and organizations, we have quite a similar form. You can select your type of user here, and then fill in a simple form with little less information. We will ask about your organization, workplace, some info on your background, and then you will be good to go. Both experts and platform users will undergo a validation process, okay? Experts will be tagged following the ESCO, I always get that wrong, European Classification of Skills, Competences, and Occupation System. And once you pass the validation process, you will receive an email. Platform users will be then able to access the platform and search for validated experts, and experts will be able to be contacted by platform users, okay? If you have any questions or want to know more about the platform, you always can go on the About page, which has a lot of information. And if you have questions about the data management, you can go to the privacy policy and terms and conditions and take a look. So this is mostly the public part of the website. It's pretty straightforward. And I think now I'm going to hand it over to Bea so she can show you the platform, which is on my side, on my view, at least the most interesting part of the project. So I'm going to stop my screen and hand it over to Bea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. It's my turn to share screen. Very share screen today. I think this is the one. Okay. We're here. Okay. This is the platform, and I want to share with you a short video with a quick overview, because right now on our platform, we don't have a lot of experts or a lot of journalists to show you how it works. So I made a quick how this is work for the journalist part, because for the expert part, after the registration and confirm the email and pass the validation, the platform is useful for change your status, or if you want to add more info about yourself. But you don't need to use the platform for anything more, because the journalist can contact you by email or by phone, as you prefer. But the platform is a little bit complicated for journalists because they have more options. So I want to share with you these options in this video. Yeah, so this is the platform. You can find the experts here using, for instance, the search bar of the platform. You can put a keyword and find people, but also you can use the filters. And I want to stop here. Create these filters it's a little difficult, and this is a work in progress for us. Right now we have the job tags, the expertise tags, and the language, the filter by language to find people who talk the language you use normally or you understand. The principal are the 7 languages of the consortium. English is one of them, but also it's Spanish, French, and others. And the job tags and the descriptive tags are these tags Carlos talked about, the ASCO, the European Classification of Skills, Competence, and Occupation System. Okay, it's a very long term, but it's useful because it's standardized and it's public, and you can find the ESCO classification on internet. You want to see how many detail is. And this is the way we create the filters for job tags and expertise tags. Let's see how it works. You put and find the tag, apply, and you can find here the people, and you can click the field for more info about every expert. Okay. How many, let me go here. For instance, here you have all the tags the expert has. And here you can find how many times this expert has been contacted and how many times the expert responded to the contacts. For in that case, this 50% is this expert received 2 contacts by journalists and only responded 1 of them. Okay, and okay, another interesting thing is here you have things that reviews journalists leave on the platform. You have information about the average time response time every expert have, and this is really useful to know if you need very urgently an expert for something. Maybe it's not the best option to contact someone that I don't know, maybe have an average response more than 72 hours, for instance. And yeah, here there's another interesting thing. You can click on the tags to find similar experts, and this is really useful because you can maybe you are looking for one type of expert, and after you do the search, you find out that another kind of expert is more interesting for your research, so you can navigate into different tags like that. And you have this, and you can see more information, the profiles, all the information, the tags, but also the description the expert put in the form when he or she was registered, and how they want to be cited in the articles, the format. It is empty in that case, but the idea is have the most complete profiles of the experts as we can. And yeah, and this is an important part. We need commitment from the journalists to improve and to improve Migravoice and to make more useful this platform. Okay, all this information about the average time response, about how many times people respond a question to a journalist when the journalist contact them, and all this stuff is information provided by the journalist. Okay, it's not by the experts. So you can share your collaboration with experts on the platform. The idea is if we know how people, how journalists collaborate with our community, it's easier for us to understand how to improve the community and how to make the community grow. And also it's useful because we can share in our profiles on the different consortium members or favorite pieces of work of other journalists around Migravoice experience. It's really easy to register a collaboration. And also, this is the part of review. We ask for very specific questions about if the response is good, if the expert respond quickly, if the interaction is good, because this is an open community, and we always try to filter all the requests of experts joining the community, but sometimes it's something that it's a possibility. Sometimes someone that joined the community maybe it's not the best match to be a source in a journalistic process. So it's good to know about that. This is why it's so important to review the interactions with the experts. And yeah, soon we want to put a new thing into the CRM, the Migravoice platform for journalists. We want to create a way to save your favorite experts. And also we want to create new filters for you. So if you have any suggestion about new filters that you think could be useful for your work, we are open to listen. And yeah, if you have any questions, need help about the platform or whatever, this is the email, contact at migravoice.eu. And yeah, we are happy to help you. And this is all. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Bea. Thanks for the overview. We'll have questions in a minute, but first we have a little intervention from Kian, who wanted to talk about her experience.
Hi, everyone. Thank Luke for the introduction, and thank you and everyone for the also very detailed introduction of the platform. I'm already quite excited about what we can do with the platform and how we can use it. So I'm not sure it's going to be an intervention, but I would like to contribute maybe a bit from the perspective of a journalist with a migration background in Europe. And I think if you ask anyone who is a journalist with migration background that works in Europe, I think everyone can write a book about their experience with all the challenges that they faced. And I think many of us are familiar with, just even just in a daily life with the racism and discriminations you get. Even when you don't work as a journalist, you have all this kind of microaggressions that you receive every day. But when you do work as a journalist or in media, some of this plays out in an even bigger context, I would say, or even more specific. Like the discrimination that you get is just not only just what's the color of your skin, but a lot of times it's more geopolitical, if I could put it that way. Like the origin where you come from plays a big role. For example, I myself come from China, and sometimes we have this, I come together with some of the journalists from Iran, for example, from Russia, and we joke that we're coming from the countries of the axis of evils. And even though we have our own independent political view, different from our government, and we face the pressure from the country where I come from, but then you face a different kind of discrimination from the country that you're actually working. And they assume you have a set of agenda just based on where you're from. And in this case, if I let's say if I work for an independent Chinese outlet, or my colleague work for a Russian opposition media outlet, and just because of the nationality, you already face a lack of resource. What does that mean? That means if you send an email out, like to talk about German politics or French politics, upcoming elections, which are totally irrelevant of where you are actually from, just based on your last name, then you get maybe 50% less than your German colleague or French colleague. So you have totally a lack of resources what you can choose from. And you don't get to be picky. And also what that translates to is, for example, if I want to talk about issue that concerns Iran and Germany, both of the countries, and sometimes specifically about what's going on in Iran. And I would like, for sure, 100% to have an expert that has an Iranian background, and then who are familiar with the region and can talk about what's Iran like from an Iranian perspective. But I really get the chance to actually to be picky that who is talking on my camera. I can just be happy that someone responded to my request and I can actually do this story. And especially for colleagues who are working on breaking news, working on daily news, they have to produce something in 3 days. So they do want to be inclusive in terms of who they interview and on what topic, but they don't really have that luxury, especially when you have a certain limitation, right? So I think this is one thing that as a journalist that we with migration background we all face. It's very practical. So obviously, hopefully, with our new platform, that this can help us in our daily lives. And another thing is I want to talk about is when we are journalists already with migration and immigration background, it's not just one thing is concerning work specifically, but then it also is always a kind of tricky balance between your objectivity or objective what you are talking about and your personal experience. I remember once, I think it was a couple of years ago, I still have to apply visas every couple of years. And I just came out of this German authority called Ausländerbehörde, which is a nightmare for every immigrant, which is basically the foreign office where you have to go 4 a.m. in the morning, waiting the line, try to get appointments, so on and so forth. So I just came out of this appointment where I have to hand in more documents. And the same day, I have to do a story about Germany is trying to push for more policies that ease the bureaucracy of applying for visas, which is very ironic, like you're struggling to get your visa, and at the same time you have to say, okay, Germany is trying very hard, which is, it's kind of like it's a small example to somehow like illustrate this dilemma that sometimes the journalists are in. And I think in these critical times, what we need is a community. I think that's what matters. And to sort of like share, like you can tell these small details to maybe your friends who are German friends, French friends, like British friends. They can try to understand, but I sometimes always wonder how much do they actually understand, right? I think that translates to a bigger question, which is Luke already mentioned that we have this beautiful Migravoice journalist training camp happening in Berlin. And so for some of you who don't know this project, Our Europe is this organization, and some other partner organizations, they had this boot camp, and they bring in many journalists that based in Europe, but with a migration background, and to tell the story specifically from their community. So we were there, we listened to a lot of the stories from different journalists. And I have to say, for that 3 days, I am very deeply moved by the stories that they're trying to tell. So first, a lot of these stories you would never find on a mainstream European media outlet, because these stories are often very much overlooked by the mainstream media because they belong to a community that's already marginalized, or maybe not marginalized, because when we think about it, if we live in a continent, maybe 10% are made of immigrants, they shouldn't be a marginalized group. Or like, let's take the example of Germany, 26% of them with immigrants background. I think UK is 20%. I think France is 25%. Like they're all quite big numbers. But these stories are, as you guys have mentioned, it's rarely show up in the mainstream media coverage. And of course, we have to ask why. So first, the editorial teams of most of the major media group are just extremely white or not diverse, at least. And the other thing is also, I think it just has a lot to do with also the experts are not. Because sometimes the journalists would go to an NGO, go to a think tank, go to an expert to ask them, what do you think matters? And the expert, if they are themselves they don't have a certain background, they wouldn't know these stories. They wouldn't be able to provide these stories to the journalist. So I think all this connected together. And also in the Migravoice bootcamp, I realized also something is it doesn't matter which country you're originally from. If you do have this shared experience as a migrant journalist or in a migrant community, many small things are very, very similar. So sometimes the editor says, okay, this story is not relevant to our reader because they don't think it matters from their perspective, maybe a very Eurocentric perspective in that per se. But actually, a lot of these stories, it resonates so much within the migrant community and on a broader sense, resonate with every human being in that sense. But just because how they tell the story, how the story is discovered, is not the way that it should be done. Yes. So to summarize, I think it really matters that our journalism nowadays in Europe is more inclusive, more diverse, and at least reflect the making of Europe. And so I'm really excited again to be part of the group and excited that this platform is launching, and we're going closer to the sort of the media landscape that we actually want to see. Yeah.
Thanks, Kian. Thanks so much. Yeah, I remember being in Berlin for the boot camp. It was amazing, like the stories that we got to hear that week. It was really maybe full of hope that we can have a bit more diversity in the stories that get told. Now we're going back to Sam. Sam is going to talk about some of the ways you can get involved with the community and as either an expert with a migration background, European media professional, or an organization dedicated to migrant and refugee rights and representation. So, floor is yours again, Sam.
Thank you very much. I promise not to bore you too much more with my voice. I think most of it's been covered, but I just wanted to remind you and make one last sort of call to everyone out there to get involved and highlight the key ways that you can get involved depending on the profile that you have. Well, I don't think anyone can put it better than Kian just did in expressing sort of how excited we all are, and we hope you guys are just as excited as we are to join this community and get the Migravoice project off the ground. And as Kian said, working towards the media landscape that we all hope for and I think deserve in Europe. So, how can you join and how can you get involved? So if you are a expert with a migration background, as you saw, as Carlos showed and Bea showed in their presentations, it's really, really, really straightforward. All you need to do is go to the Migravoice website and click on the option at the top, Are you a migrant expert? As you saw in Carlos's presentation, you just need to complete a relatively short registration form and upload the evidence of your expertise. Remember, I said PhDs are not necessary, just some kind of evidence that you know what you're talking about. I would also just like to stress here, as I know that sometimes the data shared and some of the situations that individuals can be in, not all of the data you provide will be displayed publicly on the platform to the journalists who access it. Most of the data will be just for us to process your profile. The only thing that as you saw in Bea's presentation, the journalists accessing the platform will be able to see is your name, email, phone number if you provide it, but that's not obligatory, and the area that you have expertise in, as well as your language. They won't see anything about your migration status, your background, or anything like that. Okay, so in that sense, all the data, especially personal data, is protected there. If you have any concerns, and if you do have any concerns, we also have a privacy policy which you can look at, and you can also contact us at the address that Bea shared as well. So once you've signed up, we will review your profile and approve your profile, and then you will be a registered member of the community. And once you're a registered member, there is an extra bonus for you, which is you will receive access to media training and onboarding materials. So Media Diversity Institute have a lot of experience training individuals to communicate and engage with journalists. Journalists can seem like an intimidating group of people. I should know I'm not a journalist and I work in a room full of them. But no, in all seriousness, it's useful. The idea of these training and onboarding materials will provide you with useful skills to be able to communicate effectively with journalists, providing them with the information that they need, while also being able to assert yourself and your perspectives and views effectively. And then the final step will be basically responding to the journalists that reach out to you for information. It's really that simple if you are an expert with a migration background. If you're a European media practitioner, again, it's relatively straightforward. You just need to go to the website again, this time clicking on Are You a Journalist? And then again, completing the necessary registration form. And with that, you will then be provided with your account and login, and you will be able to log in and access the backend database system. You will also have access to the video that Bea shared, which will be, and there'll also be some sort of onboarding materials for you guys as well to help you, navigate around the platform. Make sure you're using it as optimally as possible. And once you're in, you will be able to, and we highly encourage you to engage and reach out to expert members in our community, collaborating with them and leaving sort of reviews of the collaborations so that we can continue improving the platform and amplifying those voices that are actively engaged within our community. And then finally, if you are an organization working for improved representation of migrants, you can become an official member of our official partner of the Migravoice project. The best way to do that is to contact us directly, either through the contact form on the website or writing to that email there, contact@migravoice.eu. And we will get back to you as soon as possible to discuss how you can actively help us and what we can provide you in return. Please, as well, independently, feel free to share the Migravoice website and we'll also be sharing some communication materials soon within your communities, encouraging them as much as possible to join the community, whether they are experts or journalists, regardless of their field. Everyone is welcome, and we really want to keep this as open as possible. And so with that, that leaves me with not much more else to say, but other than please come join us and help us together improve the presence and reputation and inclusion of our European media landscape.
Okay, well, I think we can wrap it up there. Thanks very much for joining us. And yeah, I really encourage everyone to join the platform. It's just a short registration process. And yeah, we hope to see some of you on there, and hopefully also in the future workshops that MDI will hold in the coming months. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Ciao.
Look forward to seeing
Thank
you in the
you.
community. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.